This whole show came out of an experience that I had that I really never discussed with a psychiatrist. We brought Dr. Delvena Thomas, who is a board-certified psychiatrist, a lieutenant colonel in the Army Reserve, and has been working on mental health issues for decades. When I tell this story, I have to say I feel shame and pain all over again. And I realized when I got to Brown, I started to feel ashamed of the fact that I was from Indiantown. I basically buried my roots.
My mom stole me from my dad in a plane ride from Jamaica to Texas. When I got over here, those kids treated me like bad, and I felt so ashamed. Being this like knock-knee, dark-skinned, ashy Jamaican in the middle of Texas.
What that is called is self-stigma. It's also called internalizing trauma. We do this subconscious thing where we disconnect from our roots because this is our way of surviving.
I was carrying all this shame and pain. I had suppressed it to the point where I didn't even realize that my great-grandmother, my Ma Honey, is the source of my superpower.
This thing that I've been fighting, it is the reason that I am able to do what I do.
You felt bad about disconnecting from your roots, yet you were also able to transition, reframe. Reframing is something that many people don't know how to do. The reframing, getting through, creating that resilience, that is what creates your superpower. Self-love is critical because you have to love every piece of you.
How do you get to self-love? Everyone says self-love like you go, voila, self-love. How do you get there?
Shame is something that I believe all of us have experienced. We may not recognize that whatever undeserved shame may be the source of our superpower.
I'm Suzan McDowell.
I am Teri Williams. I am the great-grandchild of Ma Honey, and you're watching Who's Your Ma Honey? Today on Who's Ma Honey, we didn't bring a guest, we brought ourselves. And we brought Dr. Delvena Thomas, who is a board-certified psychiatrist, a lieutenant colonel in the Army Reserve, and has been working on mental health issues for decades. She is helping us unpack Who's Your Ma Honey as we're going through this journey together and offer some very powerful words to those of us that are taking this journey. Welcome, Dr. Delvena, to Who's Your Ma Honey? To be frank, and I'm going to speak directly to you, this whole show came out of an experience that I had that I really never discussed with a psychiatrist or a professional. And it might be helpful for me to do that, to be able to better understand it. So I'm going to share my experience, and as you can see from the name of the show, Who's Your Ma Honey? I asked Suzan to join me in this journey, and she'll share her Who's Your Ma Honey experience. And then we would love for you to just, fix us. No, just kidding.
Help us unpack it.
Yeah, help us unpack it. Yes.
Yep.
And I'm going to tell it my quick story. I can, because I said it so many times, I don't want to repeat the long story, but just to give you a sense of what it is. About 10 years ago, I was here in Miami, and we were doing a mural on the bank, and we were working with an artist, and the artist asked me, who are you and how did you become who you are? And I basically told him my resume. So I went to Brown University, I went to Harvard Business School, I worked at Bank of America, I worked at American Express, and, went through my resume a couple of times because he kept asking me. And what I thought is that he didn't really understand, the strength of my resume. But at some point, after maybe about the third time, I realized he was asking me something that I never really understood or answered, or at least I had to think about it. And when I thought about it, I realized that I am who I am because of my great-grandmother. She owned a penny candy store, a juke joint, a barbecue pit. She owned some rental housing in Indiantown, Florida, on the black side of town, Booker Park. I used to follow her around. And that was my first introduction as a little kid to business. And I loved it. I mean, right from the very beginning, I used to, I just loved it. But what I didn't realize is that she was teaching me, and I was modeling her, and that because of that experience, that's why I was successful at Brown and Harvard Business School and all these places, and not the other way around. And when I realized that this was a huge part of my story that I had, right until this is in my 50s, I had not mentioned, I was trying to figure out how that could be. How could I have forgotten my great-grandmother? And I realized when I got to Brown, I started to feel ashamed of the fact that I was from Indiantown. And I basically buried my roots, my Indiantown roots, including my great-grandmother, in my, quote, success story. And it made me, it pained me to think that I would forget my great-grandmother. And it sort of put me in tune with the fact that I was carrying all this shame and pain. And I had suppressed it to the point where I didn't even realize it until that moment. And now I realize that my great-grandmother, my Ma Honey, is the source of my superpower. And so I went from, oh my gosh, it's something that you were ashamed of and they made you feel ashamed of, which is actually the source of your superpower. That's why I decided to do this show, because I don't want anyone else to feel that, especially young people, to feel that shame and pain and not realize that actually that is the source of your superpower. When I tell this story, I have to say I feel shame and pain all over again. And I also feel that I'm giving the people that made me feel ashamed, I'm giving them agency, like I'm giving them power. I'm like admitting that you made me feel this way, because I didn't admit it to them all these years. I mean, I just buried it and just went, but it was painful and it did make me feel ashamed. And that's sort of a hard thing to admit.
So typically, I have a notepad and a pen and I can take notes and all those things, but in
Do you
this
want a
setting, I
notepad?
don't. So
Do I lay on
if
the
you don't-
couch or something?
That would be best too, but we'll improvise. And if it's okay, if I can jump in from time to time, so that way I don't forget some of the thoughts. But this is so powerful. And it's so powerful because it sets up a discussion about intergenerational trauma, right? There's that. I hear your pain. I can see your pain. I can feel your pain. And then there is the resolution at the end, right? There's a lot of in between that we'll go through, but there's that resolution at the end where you reframed it and you made it work for you. And oftentimes this is what we do. We do this subconscious thing where we disconnect from our roots, because this is our way of surviving as, well, we're here as Black women, surviving in America as a Black woman. You've been in spaces where many of us have never been in and will likely never be the majority, pardon me. And so this makes sense to me. It may not make sense to you, but this is what we see when people disconnect from their roots and there's that trauma. The best thing here is that you reframed it and you made it work for you. And so everything that you saw and you learned from your great-grandmother, what is her name, by the way?
Yeah, it's Annie Coachman.
Annie
People called her
Coachman.
Miss Honey, though. So
Miss
we called her
Honey,
Ma
okay.
Honey, but people called her Miss Honey.
All
Yeah.
right, so
Yeah.
she is Miss Honey
Yes,
today.
yes,
So
yes.
everything you learned from
We're the
Miss Honey.
honeys, actually.
Yeah, we're the
honeys.
We're the
Okay.
honeys.
All right, sweet. That sounds good to me. May I ask you, what year was Miss Honey born?
Oh, my. In the 1800s.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
like 1800s. You know, her story is amazing. But yeah, she was born in the 1800s in South Carolina. She moved with my great-grandfather to Indiantown. He died when she was 40.
Okay, so let's stop there.
Okay.
Because we have to pause and let that resonate.
Yeah.
The 1800s in South Carolina. So my family's from Mississippi.
Mm.
So my great-grandfather is from New Orleans and he relocated to Mississippi. And that's where my grandparents, my mother, my father, both sides, they were born in Mississippi. And South Carolina has so much rich Black history. So 1800 South Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
Go on.
Yep. I believe they moved to Indiantown because my great-grandfather got a job with Seaboard, a rail company. And my dad told me that my honey, my great-grandmother, would take all the money that he earned and she would buy real estate.
Oof, look at that.
Yes.
Smart woman.
Entrepreneur knew the worth of some dirt.
Exactly.
Before the word entrepreneur was a word.
Yes,
Before,
yeah.
yes.
And so, but when he passed, when she was 41 and I think he was maybe 45, 46, he was young, then she had to figure out how to basically survive. Again, and I don't know what year that was, but it must have been early 30s. My dad was born in 1929, so he was born. But she had to figure out how to survive in the segregated South, in Indiantown, Florida.
As a single woman.
Yes.
As a single woman.
As
a single woman.
And let's place this in context. Slavery ended when, right? So
Right.
she was born right after slavery ended.
She was.
And then there's the move on her own. Did she move on her own to Indiantown, or he passed away in Indiantown?
He passed away in Indiantown. They moved together in Indiantown, and his job at Seaboard was in Indiantown.
Gotcha.
Seaboard used to have a stop in Indiantown.
And here she is, a Black woman in the segregated South by herself, making a way, and became an entrepreneur through all of those things. I mean, you could stop right there with Miss Honey. You could stop right there.
Yeah. No, again, I didn't really recognize it until this moment. But as a kid, I do remember that she was a big deal. I mean, I didn't really fully understand it. The word businesswoman hadn't been coined, or entrepreneur. But there were like these 5 families that owned real estate in Booker Park, and 4 of them were men and my great-grandmother. And
Wow.
Yeah.
And yeah, so she was a powerful,
That gives
and
me
then to be
chills.
honest, she was like all of their moms. I mean, because she was older than they were. They were more like my grandparents' generation,
Mm-hmm.
maybe even my parents' generation. But she was just badass. I mean, I didn't make the connection. I mean, that's the other part. Like, even though I did appreciate her, I still didn't make the connection between me and her, or like.
And that's okay. That's okay that you couldn't connect the two. You know, probably.
Why does that does not feel okay to me?
I'm
gonna be honest with you.
It's
It feels
traumatizing for you.
Yeah.
Because you feel like you permanently you permanently disconnected from your own roots. You allowed yourself to move on and become a success story without acknowledging the beginning, without acknowledging your foundation.
Right.
And so many of us do that because we're forced to. And what that is called is self-stigma. It's also called internalizing trauma. You internalize your own trauma. You were ashamed because I'm guessing now, I don't want to make an assumption, correct me if I'm wrong, but I hear the South. You did not mention your great-grandmother's education.
None.
Her educational
like
level.
4th grade or something.
So a lot of times that plays into the equation.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, we heard powerful, successful entrepreneur as a single woman, widowed woman. But I believe the shame comes from, and probably also, as much as we don't want to admit it, being Black. Being Black in spaces where we're not allowed. And so another term comes to mind for me, and that's imposter syndrome. Because the birth or the conception of imposter syndrome is exactly the dynamic we just described.
So can you talk about that? Because I don't feel like I have imposter syndrome like at all.
Yeah.
So that's a weird combination, because I never felt like an imposter. Even though they were putting the shame on me about my great-grandmother, I knew I could do whatever. In fact, one of the things I used to always wonder is like, why didn't everyone around me get the lesson? Like the professor would go up there and go, blah, 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 blah. I'd be like, yeah. And everybody else would be like, what? And I'm like, why don't you all get this? And this was over and over. This was at Harvard Business School. This was at Brown. This is like everything. It's like it just came so easy to me.
Glory to God.
It's
Yes.
my
Glory to
honey.
God.
It was
Yes,
because
yes. I mean,
she
but I had that
has the-
training from
Yes.
like
Because
birth.
you heard the verbiage, the
Yes,
language, you
yes.
saw it with your own eyes.
Yes,
and
so
we
I
know.
never felt,
But she-
and I
yeah.
worked my ass off.
Yes.
So it's like, I'm not an imposter. Like, that's
Yeah.
one thing I don't, so I do want to understand the difference, because even, I guess my antenna goes up, and it's no shame, I say no shame to people that feel that imposter syndrome, because I've heard that before. But I feel like that comes from people feeling like their success is an imposter. I don't feel that
Or
way.
it's not deserved that you
Or
don't
it's not
deserve
deserved,
your
right.
success.
To me, the
But
shame is
yes.
undeserved.
Yes.
Not my success. My success is
And you work for it.
100%
Yeah.
deserved.
Yeah.
What's the shame? The shame is what's undeserved. I did not deserve to feel the way they made me feel when I showed up at Brown.
So okay,
Okay,
let's back
sorry.
up. We
I'm
gotta
sorry. I didn't mean to,
unpack it.
no.
There's a whole
Yeah.
lot going on. So
Yes.
let's back up to you saying that you didn't deserve the shame that they made you feel. Who made you feel the shame?
Pretty much everybody.
Who?
My friends, the people around me, like everyone. I mean,
So
everyone. I mean, except
when
the
you say
professors.
everyone, do you mean
The professors didn't.
Because they knew how smart you were. They'd
Exactly.
be like, wait a minute.
So, but they didn't know about Miss Honey. So what shame did they make you feel? Or was this your own misperception of what you thought they were thinking about you? Because oftentimes we do that. We make automatic assumptions about what's happening in our environment, and it's really not even happening. You started the show saying that you didn't reveal who Ma Honey was, who Miss Honey was. You did not talk about Miss Honey. You severed ties with Miss Honey. You went away to Brown and to Harvard, and there was no discussion of Miss Honey. So how could these people even know about Miss Honey? So that's where I'm confused. Who made you feel that way?
No, that's a good, and I am, so yeah, that's a good point. But let me describe it a little differently. So when I showed up at Brown, I had a big red afro, I had a white tube top, and some lime green hip huggers. I used that description of my attire to have you understand the disconnect between the person I was, segregated South, Indiantown, Florida, country girl, and the environment that I dropped in, Ivy League institution, which, by the way, I didn't even know was Ivy League when I went.
Or
I
what
just
Ivy
got
League
in.
was.
Or what Ivy League was.
Yeah.
I just got in. They gave me a bunch of money, and I went. I had no clue. Okay, so I'm dropped into this Ivy League environment, this, basically this country girl. And then came the shame. Like even my friends to this day said, we really didn't think you were going to make it. So it's not, you're right.
Give us examples of how they shamed you, or how the types of things they did that made you feel ashamed. Can you remember?
So many things. But I could feel it when I walk in a room. Even today, I think, I can feel it. I own a bank, but.
Be specific.
Okay. The way that they'll look you up and down, or the way that they'll just walk away and dismiss you, or the way that, I'll say something and somebody will say the same thing and they'll be like, what he
You're
said.
brilliant.
What he said.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Or the way that they, really didn't want to be my friend, or didn't want to do stuff with me.
Didn't think you have value.
Yeah, didn't think I
because
had
you didn't come
value.
from a bunch of money. Or
Exactly.
they couldn't even see the fact that my honey was like, she led she led Indiantown, but you didn't know it because you were a little girl, you know what I mean?
Right.
But really and truly, if you were to put it together, you had as much right to be there as they did.
But what you're both saying is that they made these misconceptions based on external looks and not knowing your life. They didn't know about My Honey.
Right. But it's
Right?
it's also, yes,
The fact that she forgot.
except
It was the fact that she forgot.
At that point, she hadn't forgotten yet.
No,
So,
she
'cause
did.
we're
She
still-
forgot my honey as soon as she got to Brown.
I'm not hearing that you forgot My Honey. What I hear is you tried to take on this role and to fit in. You tried to take on a role to fit in. And by doing so, you wanted to suppress where you came from, your environment. And yes, there was no talk about My Honey, but in college, there was probably no talk about my honey because it never necessarily presented itself. You were in a school, an Ivy League school with a lot of white folks, the majority. I don't know at what point you could talk about my honey in Indiantown and having a great grandmother who owned businesses, and, you know, in so many terms, her business ownership would have likely been considered, for lack of a better word, and forgive me, don't take insult to this, but petty. And so that's where it began, the subconscious defense mechanism, I'll call it, the way that you protected yourself so not to expose yourself began in that environment. But starting all of the shame you felt, it wasn't necessarily directly because of my honey. What you just described to me is how they looked at you, the outfit that you wore, what you know about your background. But these folks, these other students and your professors, they didn't know all of these things about you. So your automatic assumptions pretty much asserted and tied all this stuff together into one big nasty lump of something, you know, of emotions that later became emotions. And eventually I'll find out from you, and from you when you reveal your honey story, how did it affect you as an adult mentally? Because that sounds distressing to a lot of us. I mean, before you even get into the specifics of being at Brown, 1800 South Carolina, Indiantown, Florida, vicarious traumas occur. So for many folks who have family members from the South, so I'm not from Mississippi, I didn't grow up in Mississippi, but I've heard the stories from my parents of the things that happened, and all of us have read, most of us anyway, have read about Black history and picking cotton and slavery and the segregated South and Jim Crow and, you know, blood on the trees and all these things. But so it brings about vicarious traumas for most of us. Before you even get into the story of being at Brown, and I'm sure there's a lot of listeners who can identify with it. So I hear some automatic assumptions too. And a lot of times that's typical. That's typical in these situations. And that's what makes these situations so difficult to navigate through, because there's the reality of what's happening, there's the facts of what's happening, and then there's the assertions and the automatic assumptions that we make about our own environment.
Well, when they saw Teri, they just saw the red afro, the lime green jeans, the fact that it's clear she's not from here. And then the assumption is because she's not from here, she's not supposed to be from here. Like, what are you doing here? You know what I mean? So yeah, I can imagine how they're looking at her. Like, how did you get here? And they don't see my honey behind her. They don't see the fact that this lady was an entrepreneur. She owned 4 businesses. Yeah. You know what I mean? These businesses taught Teri how to be who she is. And those people can't see that.
No, and neither, they didn't care. They did not care.
But then probably you're like, oh, you can't see it? Let me put it back here. You know what I mean? You can't see.
Well,
can I just say one other thing?
You, yeah.
No, let me just say, because I'm using my honey because she is my grandmother that I forgot. But it was actually bigger than my honey. I mean, my honey was my superpower, but the whole environment of an Ivy League institution really at that time, and probably even to some degree today, does look down at, you know, rural America or, you know, Southern America or,
Florida.
You know, clearly, yeah, Florida or Indiantown. I mean, so, and I also, there's a little bit of what I could be misreading your thoughts, but I think you're saying, well, maybe there wasn't a reason to be ashamed or that you are feeling something that wasn't there. And
no, I'm absolutely not saying that.
Okay.
I'm saying it's based on something else and not necessarily my honey. It's based on the more superficial exterior stuff, not the history, not the legacy.
Yeah, so I'm using my honey metaphorically. So I don't want, yes, it is really recognizing that there could be some things about you and our roots that we bury to try to fit into this integrated world. I'm going to put it that way.
Sure.
We went from segregation to integration. Okay. And we went to integration, went to corporate America, and we just thought in these institutions, Ivy League institutions, and then we give them our power.
The power.
Yes.
Yeah.
We
Yeah,
say,
thank you
that's
so
the
much
reason.
for letting me be
Yes.
here.
That's
Yes.
the reason that we're here.
Yeah.
And we just dismiss the richness of our history because now they've let us in the door.
Mm-hmm.
And that, to me, that is the story of a lot of Black America. I'm just one example of it, but I'm saying that's undeserved shame. That's what it is. It's undeserved shame. It's and we should not let people make us feel that way. Or not that they don't try, but we shouldn't let them. Don't, as my dad used to say, don't let them put that monkey on your back. I should have just dismissed it. And I didn't get that until I was 50. When I called my dad and said, I think I'm my honey, he was like, well, of course you are. I'm like, duh, you think you could have told me?
You think you could have told me before now?
Exactly.
Well,
But, so I just want to, I'm going to pause.
To that, yes, you know, my honey obviously was your great-grandmother, a real person with real experience, created experiences for you, and also created the subconscious phenomenon that you have experienced up until the time that you were 50, was it? When the mirror was being 50 in your 50s?
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, we can't discount that. We can't discount it. Many of us have gone through that. Many of us have traveled that road. And what I'll say to you is this, because in the beginning you said you feel like, you said you felt bad about that. You felt bad about disconnecting from your roots. But yet you were also able to transition, reframe. Reframing is something that many people don't know how to do. So I want to emphasize and also and just put it out there that you did such a courageous, strong thing and a powerful thing by being able to reframe your story. Many people are not able to reframe. So as an aside, and let me not go too deep on a tangent, but I have this saying, it's called brain love. No, the man in Atlanta didn't create it. You know, that guy in Atlanta that made the clothing line Brain Love.
No, so you did it.
I did it.
Thank you.
Yes. And so the R in brain stands for reframe. So many people cannot reframe their story, their negativity in their life. They cannot reframe it. It's a hard thing to do. Some might say it's like CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, where you take something negative and you make it a positive. But you reframe the story of my honey. And so that is the gist of your podcast, and this is the gist of your project.
Brain, what did you call it? Brain love?
Brain love.
Brain love.
Brain love, yes. And so I think
got brain love. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
It's brain love? It's
brain love, yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Brain love.
Okay.
And so you were able to reframe it, and that's your superpower. And so when you tell your story, it'll be interesting to hear what your, I guess, I come to dislike the word pivot, because during the pandemic, everyone, oh my pivot,
yeah.
But it'll be neat to hear and interesting to hear you talk about how you reframed your story.
Okay, so on this journey,
lay it on me
with the beautiful and talented Teri Williams.
I said, who's your my honey?
I know, she's like, who's your my honey? So, you know, in order to get to all the pre-production to get to this point, we've had to have this conversation many, 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 many times. And her Ma Honey story is actually, for me, a really beautiful story, because behind it is this badass lady who really just gave her all of these gifts that come so easy to her. You know what I mean? Like, and so we always talk about it, like, I feel like what Teri has that I don't have is like this certainty. Is this kind of like a certainty? This is the best word I can use for it. And my Ma Honey story is, it's not a person. It's more like when I came from Jamaica. So I was, you know, Dr. McDowell's daughter in Jamaica. It was very fabulous. We're all fabulous, living a wonderful, beautiful prep school life. And then in the middle of all of that, my mom stole me from my dad, essentially. So in a plane ride from Jamaica to Texas, my mom said, oh, can I see the kids? They were divorced. My dad's like, sure. He sends us to my mom with the intention of sending us back to school, because we were in school. And my mom was like, and she kept us. So in a plane ride, not knowing that I was moving, I moved to America. So now I'm a little Black girl in America, which is different. I was 11. different than being a little Black girl in Jamaica. And by that point, my mom had run out of all her alimony, and she didn't have any money. So when I came to America, of course, I can't imagine losing. There was 4 of us. She lost custody of all of us. So that is heartbreaking in itself. So I understood why she wanted her kids. So, but by the time I got there, she was not Dr. McDowell's daughter. She did not have that life. She was on food stamps. And so I used to be so embarrassed about the fact that my mom was this kind of loopy lady who really, she wasn't a Ma Honey. You know what I mean? And so for the next however many decades, and I fought between this Dr. McDowell Jamaica thing and then my crazy mom thing, when really and truly, my mom was also a badass. My mom was beautiful, intelligent. You know what I mean? I get my love of languages from my mom. But this back and forth between Jamaica and America. So what happens is, for Jamaicans, and I am a Jamaican, so I'm saying this as a Jamaican. Jamaicans are very much you know what I mean? Like
prim, proper, uppity?
Not, they call me prim, proper.
I'm just guessing.
And prim, proper. It's more it's a superiority complex, which I'm perfectly fine with. But it comes with the territory. It comes with being a Jamaican. And being a Jamaican is a very specific thing. You know what I mean? Very, very, it's not any other place. And so when I would go back to Jamaica for Christmas and, spring break and all that, and I would be up under my dad. You know what I mean? So in love with my dad. So then it was always, when I would go to Jamaica, they would be like, who are you? I'd be like, oh, I'm Suzan McDowell. And they were like, we haven't seen you all year. I'm not there for school. And so I would be dismissed, really. I would go to Jamaica and everybody would be running around having a great time. And I would be dismissed. And because I'm not really Jamaican. So I spent all these years proving the fact that I was Jamaican. I was born in Jamaica, but because I left Jamaica when I was 11, I talk like an American, but I was born in Jamaica. I'm a Jamaican. So it was always this fight, almost kind of trying to hide my Americanness. So I could be I'm Jamaican, I'm really Jamaican. I'm Jamaican, right? I'm really not American, I'm a Jamaican. Because it was I got ripped away from Jamaica. And so, when I'm an American when it's time to vote. When it's time to vote, I'm we're an American. We're going to vote. But other than that, you know what I mean? And I know it's because of this fight between this pie in the sky life that I had in Jamaica or I had in my head. And then this life with this, divorcee back a long time ago when it was not cool to be a divorcee. You know what I mean? My mom would bounce checks. You know what I mean? My dad, you know what I mean? It was so different. So I fought it for a long, long time. It's always been a back and forth, the whole Suzan versus Suzan. It really is before and after kind of thing. Suzan is a little girl who's in the corner. Suzan is who I am now. What I realized is that this thing that I've been fighting, this are you Jamaican, are you American, are you Jamaican or American? There's a lot of angst going on in my head about Jamaican America that I realized in Miami in particular is my superpower. It is the reason that I am able to do what I do. In particular in Miami, we're talking about the fact that this whole immigrant life that a lot of kids come up here, you're brought up here for a better life, you come with your parents, and then you're stuck in an American school. But you don't have an American sensibility. The way you move is different. How you think about yourself is different. So when I got over here, those kids treated me bad. They treated me bad. So, and I felt so ashamed. I was so ashamed of being this knock-knee, dark-skinned, ashy Jamaican, not fitting in girl in the middle of Texas. And I just really always wanted to go back to being a Jamaican. So what I realized is that me being able to have a successful marketing agency here in South Florida is in particular germane to South Florida. South Florida is a place where There's a lot of Caribbean people and there's a lot of American people because it's a very mixed community. And my superpower that I have discovered probably wouldn't work in other environments, but it works in South Florida, which is where I live. Meaning, part of my superpower of being a marketing professional here is I see both sides. I am an American. I'm American. So I understand how Americans feel about the world, about being Black in America, about Jamaicans, about people from the Caribbean. But also from the Caribbean, I understand how Caribbean people, Jamaican people could feel like, because, we're in a different pool. So for instance, in Jamaica, you come to America and all of a sudden you're Black. You don't realize you're Black until you get to America. You grew up knowing you were Black because you were always Black. We weren't Black till we got here. I was like, oh, it's a problem. Because in Jamaica, 93% of the people are Black. So Black is not the conversation. It's when I got over here that I realized Black was a problem. Like, oh, it's a bad thing. I didn't know because, people on the billboards are Black. The prime minister's Black. My dad is like, he's a shit. He's Black. You know what I mean? So all of those like fighting of like, no, I'm really a Jamaican, but I really want you to vote for someone because I'm an American, is really allowed me to understand both sides from a marketing perspective. The ability to speak in both languages. I'm multilingual. That Teri doesn't have that as an American. My Jamaican friends that are only Jamaican, they can't talk American. But I am really bilingual. Jamaica, I'm a Jamaican.
Speak some patois now.
See, this is how it started. So then people would talk patois and then they would be like, you're not really, now I can understand it. I can totally understand it. No, because I grew up in America. I can understand patois. And if I got really pissed.
You speak it to me all the time. You say what they say in Jamaica.
What they say is.
And I'm like, what?
I know it, because I can speak it more than you can speak it. I'm just saying, you don't really have to be the fastest.
Dr. Delvena, are you Jamaican?
No.
Oh,
she's
okay.
from South Carolina. From Mississippi.
Oh, that's right. So why can't you speak it?
Mississippi.
I thought you were saying, oh, she's gonna not understand, or she's gonna understand I don't know it.
Well, does that make you stand out?
Spanish. She
habla español, which came from my mom.
But you don't speak patois, but you speak Spanish.
I understand patois, and I can speak patois.
She just said she doesn't
But
speak
I
patois.
do, but I'm just not gonna do it on command.
Why?
Because it might not sound like real patois, and then all the people that are watching
She ain't
this
a
are gonna make.
Jamaican.
But
I'm playing.
See, this is the whole point.
I'm
This is
kidding.
Literally.
I'm kidding. It's okay. Don't bring out the little Suzan.
Literally, the argument that I have with myself all day long. And Jamaican people are very much like,
Do they judge you that you can't just speak patois on the spot?
I can speak patois.
Language is a big deal in many cultures.
It is. It's very much like, Jamaican people, I was telling somebody the other day about cooking ackee and saltfish, Jamaican ackee and saltfish. They're like,
can you cook Jamaican?
They're like, you can cook? I was like, not only can I cook,
Oh.
I cook a fantastic ackee and saltfish because I'm a Jamaican. Because I'm a Jamaican.
But you just can't speak patois
I can't
on the
speak
spot.
patois. I'm just not going to do it on the spot. Because
Why
it might
not?
Because it might come out American.
Oh,
and then
you got to fix it inside your brain.
Well, no, I have to. Really, what happens is, like, if we went to Jamaica right now, you'd be like, what happened to Suzanne? What happened to Suzanne's accent? You know what I mean? I would become more Jamaican because you're in an environment of all Jamaican. But here in America, like, I have people all the time. One, they're like, they hear me on the phone. You're talking about Adonis. They hear Adonis on the phone, and they're like, oh, Adonis. And then they see him. So what happened, I would be told that I speak like a white girl. And then I would show up clearly not a white girl. So I think the same thing happens with Jamaicans. Like, they want to say that I'm not really a Jamaican because I talk like this. Part of me is like, I'm both. I'm a Jamaican. My mother's a full-on Texas debutante American that met my dad.
See, we missed that part. So mom is American, was born in the States.
My mom's an American.
She's not Jamaican.
No.
Moved to America.
Did I forget that part?
Yeah, you didn't say that part.
No, I'm a 50-50. My mom is an American. My dad is a Jamaican. They met
at Fisk.
They met at Fisk.
Well, he was at Meharry.
My dad was at Meharry. My mom was at Fisk.
Meharry Med School.
And that's why they go there. They go there. Mothers send their daughters there for their MRS degree. So my mom went for her MRS degree. They're supposed to go, the girls at Fisk back in the day are supposed to go and marry doctors.
I see.
Which my mom did. She married a dentist. She just was supposed to marry an American dentist. My grandmother was not amused that my dad was like, okay, bye. Me and my wife, we're leaving. Went to Jamaica and have 4 kids. So, so now we have a Black American woman.
That changes the whole story there,
Yes.
knowing that mom was, or is.
Mom was
an American.
My mom was in America.
Born
in
and raised in
America.
America.
Taken to Jamaica when, after college, after my dad did his residency at New York Hospital. And so she went to Jamaica. She had a wonderful life. And then she left my dad and went back to Texas, where she left us for 2.5 years. So that's his own abandonment thing. So then when she finally steals me back to America, now I'm in this whole other world that I'm like, I don't want to be here. I used to pray every single day, dear God, please let mommy and daddy get back together so I can go back to Jamaica. I would call my dad and be like, Daddy, come get me. Come. Like 5 minutes after I was in America, I was like, I can't do this.
Well, how long did you stay?
I've never gone back. I was 11.
Did you question why dad didn't come and pick you guys up?
I did. And that's also very, very interesting. Yes, I always was, but I think, back in that day, my parents got divorced in Jamaica because they were in Jamaica. And my dad got custody of the 4 of us because my mom, had some health issues. So he got custody. But at that time when my dad couldn't come get us, like Jamaica's not fighting America. Long time ago, Jamaica might. I don't even know.
So mom
refused. Even the dad couldn't take the kids.
Mom refused to give you back. Mom refused.
We went to visit my mom. This was 2.5 years after she's left us. So, and 2.5 years later, she's like, I want to see my kids. And my dad's like, fine.
Yeah.
So he sends us. There's 4 of us.
Right.
He sends all 4 of us.
I heard all that. But what I'm asking
3 went back.
Yes.
And my
3
mom,
went back.
3 went back. So if you talk to my brothers and sisters, they very Jamaican. Like they're right. Like they're.
Are you the youngest of the 4?
I am the young. I'm the 3rd of 4.
So the 2 oldest and the youngest went back to Jamaica.
Yes, the 2 oldest got to grow up with a loving mom and a loving dad in Jamaica. Oh. And then actually when we went to America to visit my mom, my brother was off to medical school.
Okay.
My sister was a senior she was like, I am not staying.
Gotcha.
And then my mom was like, don't you guys want some grapes? Let's go to Toys R Us. And she really convinced us to stay. And we were like, okay. And then 5 minutes later, I was like, I don't belong here. I don't want to be here. These people don't want me here.
Gotcha.
They don't like me. They think being Black is a problem. So it was always this kind of why didn't you come get me? Come get me, Daddy. Meanwhile, Daddy's like, I am building my practice and you're with your mom now.
Yeah.
And I remember at one point being like, well, why can't I just go back?
Okay.
And they were like, because the schools are now crossed. Because the schools are now crossed. You know what I mean? To go back to Jamaica would have meant going back and, you know what I mean? The moment had passed.
And I'll say, you were 11, 12 maybe by that time, but to be a single man trying to raise a preteen, a little girl.
Yeah.
So I'm sure as a physician, he probably thought it's best for her to be with her mother.
Well,
Yes.
we also realized, this was watching the One Love movie, that there was a lot of chaos going on at that.
And we talked about that too. And so
that part. Yeah.
And I never thought about it, but
Right. That
'Cause
was
I never
a
really
really
gave my mom-
turbulent time
Yeah.
in Jamaica. I mean, I could
Yeah.
see your mom saying, I'm not sending
I'm
you
not
back
sending-
here.
Yeah.
People were getting killed.
people were getting killed in the 70s. So, and I didn't know. So, my mom kept us.
Mhm.
She kept us. And we talked about this. She could have easily kept us because she was like, they're about to go to war in the mid-70s.
Yeah.
It was bad. It was bad. And we talked about that with the movie. So, but I mean, as a kid, and then when go ahead. So the story that goes before that story is when I was 8 years old, the same situation. My mom had left my dad. I guess I was about 7 or 8 when she left, or 8. And so my dad, building this very fantastic practice, one day he looked at me and he was like, your hair, it's taking too long in the mornings when I got to get to work. You know what I mean? because he had patience. And he was like, I gotta go. And so he cut all my hair off. I went to school one day, looked my cute little pigtails, went to school with all my friends. We came home, and my dad's like, we're gonna go see Mrs. Paris. Mrs. Paris was the stylist who had a salon in her house. And I'm like, okay, Daddy. He sat me down, I'll never forget, he sat me down, and in 10 minutes, all my hair was gone. I was all gone. I was a little boy. They used to pass me and my brother David. Me and my brother are Irish twins. They used to pass us off as boys, as little boys.
I'm sorry that happened to you.
Thank you.
That's traumatizing.
Yes.
For a little girl to lose her hair.
Well, then, because it doesn't stop there. Then that same day, Rachel Thorburn had a birthday party. I think she was married, it's like Halloween-ish. So I go to her birthday party. I don't know any better. I'm like a little girl. I just put on my clothes. And those kids looked at me. They had seen me that morning at Mona Prep in school. And here I am in the afternoon because it's a birthday party. And those kids fell on the ground. They were rolling, laughing at me. Like, what happened to you? And I was like, well, I don't know what happened to me. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't realize. I wasn't ashamed of it. I guess it was the same day. I hadn't really processed it. But the first day that I got my hair cut, it was a problem. So anyway, and so just ever since that, it's been like if you were to look, there's always something that happens in somebody's childhood that's like some traumatic thing, whatever it is. And I, like the same way that Teri thinks about my honey, it's the first thing that comes to her mind. When I think about like my trauma, I go like my hair, when my dad cut my hair. And so then it's also like, as much as I love my dad, I kind of have to go like, he didn't come get me, and he cut my hair. But I love my dad. You know what I'm saying? Like, so.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And parents aren't perfect.
Parents
they don't
are not
always know what
perfect.
to do and what decisions to make at every moment.
Yeah, he thought he was doing the right thing.
Yes,
you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So
he loved you to death. There was no love lost. He just needed to be able to keep feeding the family, going to work, seeing patients on time, and feeding the family. But
my dad was a good man. So, yes, it was all about convenience, but also because my mom wasn't there.
Yeah.
Like, she wasn't there to protect me.
Yes.
She wasn't there to go, you are not cutting this little girl's hair.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, and if she had been there, he would not have.
He would not have needed, exactly.
Yeah. She would have been there to style your hair.
She would have been there to style my hair.
So it sounds like you have reframed it.
I have reframed it. I mean, okay. I mean, I don't know. I mean, the hair thing is still a thing, but the
oh, come on, Sue,
the the Jamaican and American thing. Like, I had to kind of go like, you wouldn't even be able to do what you're doing in South Florida if you could not be these two people.
How old were you when you moved to South Florida?
I was mid-20s.
Okay, so you came early enough.
Yes.
Yeah.
I did.
Yep. So that experience gave you the tools that you needed to come here and shake and move and navigate. Yeah. That is definitely your superpower. That's the reframing. I need you to work on reframing the haircut.
The haircut.
Yeah, Daddy didn't know.
He didn't. I mean, I'm not even.
And she's beautiful.
Yeah,
and she's beautiful.
So see, there's the reframe.
I'm just like, what?
That's the reframe.
Yes, yeah. But you know what I also feel as part of this, and she shared this story with me, I feel that sometimes we diminish the shame that others feel. And what I mean by that is, like when she told me this story, and I was looking at her, like, you're beautiful. Yeah. You're like, like clearly that's undeserved shame. Like, what is it you don't get about that? And to this day, she still feels it, And so I think it's because it's undeserved that when you tell someone the story, they're like, I know, nothing, That's like when those people say when you go for a job, oh, well, my weakness is that I work too hard. That's how you feel like when they're saying it. Like, you're like, well, the problem I have
and then you say, try again.
Right, exactly. So that's why I feel like saying to her sometimes, try again. Like, okay, your mom, they met at this. They had an education. Your parents had, your dad was a doctor. Your mom was a debutante. Like, you had these both lives that you were living, like, no, that ain't really shame. But it is shame to her. And I feel like, and I do, no, I'm sorry. And I guess I I feel like, and I have to think about this concept of reframing. And maybe that's what I'm trying to, in doing this show, is to get people to reframe
Yes, absolutely.
their shame, and to also recognize that a lot of time it is the source of their superpower. Maybe that's something maybe there's a psychological or way in which that's the case. Like maybe it's from the trauma we build something that ends up being our strength.
Well, it creates resilience.
It creates resilience.
Yes, being able to work through it, find a way to work it out, to get through it the way that you did and the way that you did. So when I hear you speak about being half Jamaican, half American, I think about mixed kids, black and white.
Yeah, they have the same thing.
They have some real psychological
I'm both and
challenges.
neither. Like I'm both an American and a Jamaican, but I'm also not.
Yeah.
Because I'm not 100% either.
You
of
don't
them.
belong anywhere is what you felt.
Exactly.
That's what you felt. So it creates a
yes.
conflict for many. It creates conflict. So being able to navigate that creates resilience. You find savvy ways to get over things and get through them and to self-soothe. Because oftentimes, oftentimes people minimize the burdens that we carry. And so let's say as a kid, if you said to mom and dad, no one likes me, I'm Jamaican, I'm American, what am I? To help you get through it, they're not going to, they won't partake in your pity party, you know?
No, they gotta go to work.
They have to forge on, and they'll want to create a front for you that looks, oh, you're in control. It's okay. You're not being affected. You're fine. Don't let them influence you. Don't make them make you feel that way. Don't let them allow you to feel that way. That sort of thing, because we don't want our child to feel bad. So when we're helping them navigate, we want to try to empower them. So it may feel like someone's minimizing what you're experiencing by not allowing you to process and speak out and just lay it all on the table.
Because they see it differently.
Right, which as an aside, which is why psychotherapy is so good for people to process, including our children, because they get an unbiased opportunity to sit with someone, not even an opinion. Because really, when you go to psychotherapy, it's not about me passing on my opinion to you and telling you what to do. It's you hearing your own voice and hearing yourself speak out loud and process it. Because oftentimes people will come to a point where they create solutions for themselves. And it's empowering. And sometimes you need to be redirected a little bit, and we can talk about ways to deal with that stress. But jumping back to that conversation, minimizing, it may feel like the child may feel that their pain is being minimized, similar to how you're explaining that about Sue and her challenges that she experienced. But that is the reframing, being able to reframe it, getting through, creating that resilience. That is what creates your superpower, because you build all of those tools and the ways to deal, to forge through, to get through, and you become successful. And then you say, I did it anyway. And then the confidence builds.
Yeah.
Yes.
You called it, what'd you call it? Certainty. You said that she's so certain.
Yeah,
so
she is. She grew up with this thing that's inside of her.
Yeah, and with that we can add confidence, right?
Yep.
It's not confidence. It's
I know
certainty.
what we can add. That's why I said we can add. We can add confidence, because you were unshakable. You were unbreakable.
Right.
So that is what creates the superpowers, the resilience, and the tools it took to get through and to be resilient. So maybe that's what you're looking for.
Maybe.
No, that's very helpful, and those are words that I wouldn't have thought. I wouldn't have thought or described.
When I think about it, like I go like I always thought I was not cute from the minute I got my haircut and those people fell on the ground. I was like, oh, I'm ugly. I am now ugly. I think they were like, you're ugly.
Yeah.
Like I remember.
You embraced their misperception and it became a self-stigma
Yeah, I was like,
for you.
I am. These are all like the cool kids, you know. I was like, okay. So then I was a little ugly girl. And I didn't even, when I realized I was not ugly.
You were beautiful.
I'm going to say, we're going to start with not ugly.
Tomato.
I was in my 30s.
I was going to say in your 30s, or your 40s.
My 30s. And I remember there were these 5 guys that were interested in me. 5 different guys, and they were all different. They were all, and I was like, one of them was famous. A couple of them were white. One of them I ended up being engaged to, but it was like all these guys were showing me all this attention. I remember I was like, oh, maybe I am pretty.
And cheap plug. This is why we have to tell our kids, you are beautiful.
You
You
are
are
beautiful.
so
Yes,
handsome.
yes,
Look
yes.
at you.
You know
I
what my
love
daughter
your
has?
lip.
Yes.
Sydney has certainty.
Yeah.
And I love that.
Yeah.
When I think about one thing I wanted to give my kid, if I didn't give her anything, I want her to love herself. The one thing, if I could pick one thing for you to come out of it,
Yes.
is for you to love yourself. My kid loves herself. She's
Awesome.
certain. She's very quirky and very different, but she's unconcerned. I have been worried about my quirky and my different for a long time. Sydney's like, what? She's like, you're lucky. You're welcome. You know what I mean? Like, and so I appreciate that about Sydney.
It will be protected for her in so many ways because she don't fall for anything.
Yes.
Yes,
She will not allow
okey-doke.
anyone to treat her any type of way because of being so certain.
But one of the things that I wonder about when I hear Suzanne's story and when I think of my story was that and I'm gonna call it trauma, caught us by surprise. What I mean by that, like if I had known I was going from Indiantown and to this Ivy League institution and someone had sat me down and said, look, you're getting ready to go to some place that's like very different and blah, blah, blah. But you're going to be okay. And, because you got my honey, you got your great grandmother and you got everybody. And so that I would have gone prepared.
With the information.
Yes, exactly. It was just the shock of it that really threw me. When I think of your haircut, it wasn't like you weren't prepared. Or when you came over with your mom, like you weren't prepared. Like part of the trauma, I don't know if that's always the case or no.
Sometimes it's better that way. And what comes to mind for me is my 29-year-old son and I had a conversation the other evening. He's in his last year of law school at Nova, a school that's of the majority, there's few minorities there. And he oftentimes I won't say often, but here and there, he'll talk to me about experiences in the classroom where there's a microaggression, a racist comment, something like that. And 3 years is long enough for law school. I think he's kind of at the end where he's sort of had it. So, and I said to him, I am so happy you did not know this was coming because you would have never went. You would not have gone had you known that this would happen. So by the time he pieced it all together, it's already the end and it's almost over.
Yeah.
So it's like, you got through this. And guess
what? It sounds
what?
like a doctor trying to give you an injection.
Listen.
And you're like, no. And he's like,
right. Exactly. You don't tell a little baby this is going to hurt a little. You just do it. And you just let them soothe later.
Yes.
So I'm just so happy and relieved. It's almost over. It's pretty much over. And you got through it. And I told him that. You got through it. There's more to come. So just consider this your training for the next thing. So I don't know if people are better off if they know ahead of time, if they're more prepared. Because I think
I would have been prepared if I knew I was going to stay.
Would you be able to process it? You would not have got on the plane. You wouldn't have went to see your mother. So no,
I wouldn't have done all those.
The way it happened,
they told me I was going back.
The way it happened is how it was meant to happen.
Clearly, because it happened. Clearly, because here we are all these years later.
And water is wet.
And water is still wet, and the sky is still blue.
And it's probably from those experiences that we built our superpower.
Yes,
because you
the
resilience.
You really
the
have
hard
to.
things that make us who we are. That's when we learn the real lesson. If everything is easy, you never learn a thing. You don't learn shit.
Yes.
Yeah.
Why do I got to learn so much stuff?
So, Dr. Delvena, you clearly have framed what both of us have gone through in a way that we wouldn't have had the words for. Brain power.
Brain love.
Brain love.
Brain love.
Yes.
Brain love. Brain love. Okay, brain love. And what was the R stand for?
Reframe.
Reframing. Didn't want to use pivot, but reframe is probably a better way to describe it. Is there anything for folks out there that may have lost the story of their my honey, that's sort of feeling that tension between different worlds and maybe not feeling like they fit in? Is there anything that you could say to them that maybe will help them get through?
Ooh, there are so many things I would say to folks in this circumstance. We just mentioned self-love, right? And so I think having and maintaining self-love is critical because you have to love
Yes.
every piece of you.
How do you get to self-love? Everyone says self-love, like you can go, voila, self-love. What is those? Are just 2 words with 2 4-letter words that you put together. How do you get there?
For me, it's concrete. It's like, if I don't love me, I don't love my parents, right? Because I'm here because of my parents, and I don't love God. God is self-love. So for me, I take everything back to God and Jesus Christ. So by not loving yourself, you're saying, I don't love God. I don't love my maker. My maker made me who I am and gave me the power to be able to reframe, to be able to overcome. So for me, it's just that simple. But for others where maybe they don't have that yet, anything is possible. Love is possible. Grace is possible. Forgiveness is possible. So besides reframing, I would tell them, love yourself. It starts with loving you, right? Have grace, have forgiveness. Be able to forgive people. Be able to forgive your father for cutting your hair. So I package those things together because I think they do get us through a lot. Life is only but so long, I'll say. It's very short.
Yeah.
And before you know it, you've spent 50 years ruminating on some shit from your past that you can't go back and undo.
I love that word, first of all.
Yeah.
Great
You
word.
can't go back and undo it.
And it's just like, it's like a loop. It's like, brrr. And I think most people do it. I guess that's part of the reason for this show is stop ruminating. You know what I mean? Like this thing you're ruminating, if you really were to piece it together like a puzzle, you would see that it actually took you somewhere that you're really good at.
Yes.
You're really awesome at.
Yeah, that's the
Stop
reframing.
ruminating it.
So that's the reframing.
Right.
That's the reframing part.
Yes.
It took you somewhere where you're doing something you're really good at.
But it took me a lot of proof, though. It's like, my proof is Teri. Like, my proof, I'm like, because we talked about this, in Mayor Gibson, Shirley Gibson, used to always say, Suzanne, you're extraordinary. Suzanne, you're extraordinary. I'd be like, why is this lady still, I would really be like, I was super respectful, but in my mind, I was like, she does not know what she's talking about. But then I finally had to go, well, if I have respect for Mayor Shirley Gibson, which I have the ultimate respect, and she looks at me and says, you're extraordinary, and me to go, yeah, whatever, it's really disrespectful to her. In addition to that, it means that I don't believe her for anything else. You know what I mean? Like
And you don't believe that you are that person.
And I don't believe I'm that person.
That's the part you got to work on. Should have worked on back then.
But the proof, I guess for me, I don't know, maybe it's the logic in me, is the proof. So the proof is Teri. We're sitting here with Teri Williams, president, owner of the largest Black-owned bank. She's total badass. I know she's a badass. You know she's a badass. Everybody knows she's a badass. And I'm like, she thinks I'm worthy to sit here with her for 20 years. She thinks I'm worthy to sit here with you, so that must make me worthy. But is that like, does that giving her my power? Or is it saying I respect her so much that if she thinks I'm beautiful, I must be beautiful, as opposed to me? Like now I think I'm beautiful.
Do you believe it now?
I do believe it, because I believe it because those 5 dudes were after me, and I was like, well, I can't be ugly if they're, because it's the proof. It's the proof, and I guess for me, it's the proof. Like all these years of Circle of One, I have to go, it's been 24 years. You can no longer say you don't know what you're doing. You can no longer say it's an accident.
Yes.
There's proof.
Yes.
So, and is it,
And I'll add this one last little thing, and that is this. There is not power in conforming. There's not power in conforming. So many of us want people to conform and be like one another. It's great to be unique. It's good to be eclectic.
Yeah, but you don't realize that until you're like, when you're a kid, you want to be like everybody else. You don't want to be different.
Well, some of us do. Some of us don't.
Most people do.
Some of us don't.
All right.
Right? You got to have that. Because you were there to tell Sydney.
I was.
You were there to tell her.
I did her.
So see, creating and teaching our loved ones not to be judgmental, to accept people for who they are.
Sydney was like a second
chance.
chance.
There too.
Like I got a second chance with Sydney.
I just have to comment on you're not giving me that power because you're not badass because I think you're badass. You're just badass because you're badass. Okay,
Thank you very much.
I just want to say that.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
I couldn't leave that hanging out there.
Yes.
Okay.
All right.
Anyway,
That's
but
all I
thank you.
Thank you, Dr.
And the heart for bring love.
Suzanne and I would like to thank our executive producers, Kobe Proctor, Anya Mendoza, and Jessica Hurley, as well as the entire One United Bank, Circle of One Marketing, and Epic Media team. The Who's Your My Honey show was created in collaboration and produced by One United Bank and Epic Media. Recorded at the Hive Studio, this series is to amplify stories that transform undeserved shame into superpower, the resilience and leadership skills needed to build generational wealth and economic empowerment. If this conversation moves you, share it, subscribe, and join our community. Thanks.